AFR Talk.
You're listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, welcome back to Focal Point, AFR Talk, American Family Radio Talk Network. You are listening to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Great to have you in the conversation today. Number to call if you would like to join the conversation, 888-589-8840. We talked about a number of things today. We talked about the fact that we don't have to be eloquent to be an effective and powerful communicator of the gospel. Paul wasn't, but the Spirit of God was present with him and gave power to his words as lacking in eloquence as they were. And, a part of just having a philosophical acceptance of the fact that the world thinks that we're crazy. And we just sort of have to accept that. I mean, it's not fun to have everybody mock you and ridicule you and laugh at you. I'm not saying we ought to enjoy that. But Paul says, look, as far as the world is concerned, the cross is foolish to them. Foolishness to them. It is folly. I want to take a quick look at what the Greek word is there for folly in 1 Corinthians 1. Let me get there. Pages are sticking together. It's folly. It's moria is the word. We get the word moron from this. They think it's moronic. They think that what we believe is superstition and it's folly. We believe that the Earth and the universe is 6,000 years old. They think that's absolutely, utterly stupid. We talked yesterday about the scientific evidence for that. The moon would have been in contact with the Earth 1.5 billion years ago. Everything would have been shattered. But if the Earth and the universe are about 6,000 years old, the moon would be only about 230 feet further or 750 feet further away from the Earth than it is today. It's recessing from the Earth about 1.5 inches a year. So perfectly, I mean, there's no disruption in the space-time continuum because it's 750 feet further from the Earth than when the Earth was created. But if you believe in evolution, that's a huge problem. It doesn't work under evolutionary principles. Same with the comets. We talked about the comets. The comets make 40 orbits around the sun, then they're gone. So where are all these comets coming from? They all should have burned up long ago. So the astronomers, the evolutionists, have to make up these comet nests. They got to invent them. They've never seen them, never observed them. No comet has ever been tracked spinning out of one of these comet nests in the Oort cloud or the whatever the other thing is, the Kuiper belt or whatever they call it. So it's totally manufactured. It's fabricated. These nests of comets out there every once in a while kick one out and they start spinning around the sun. So, but it makes perfectly good sense. If the Earth is only 6,000 years old, you could have these long period comets who would still be in existence. Not a problem. So anyway, but they think we're just stupid. They think we're ignorant. And the point is we can't let that stop us. We're going to place our faith in the Word of God. We're going to place our faith in science. We're going to place our faith in research and logic. And we're going to take our stand there, and we are not going to budge. We've talked about trying to rebuild an Islamic nation, how you can't do it. Got to take evangelists in next time we go. Talked about the way the homosexual lobby lied about this police officer. He was willing to serve, just didn't want to be out in front of the parade, but they wouldn't cut him slack. They would have cut for a black or a Jew in a similar circumstance. Talked about the trusted name in news. Fox, the most trusted name. We want to be here at AFR Talk. We want to be more trusted in your judgment even than Fox News. And then we talked about does a Muslim have a right to grow a beard in prison, a constitutional right. So we'll start taking your calls, 888-589-8840. I want to squeeze one soundbite in real quick, Rob, before we go to the phones. Let's drop down and grab the Morgan Freeman clip. It's number 11. This is an interesting clip because this is Morgan Freeman on with Don Lemon of CNN. And one of the big issues that the left popularizes is this whole idea of wealth inequality, and that the fact that there is wealth inequality between the races or among the races is due entirely to racism. This is their template. It's what they believe. It's an article of faith with them. It's part of the dogma. The reason one race makes less money than another race on average is because of racism. It's because of oppression. It's because the member of this disfavored race has been kept under the thumb of the oppressor race. So here's Don Lemon. He's black. He's asking Morgan Freeman. You know who Morgan Freeman is. Morgan Freeman is black. He's a black actor, has untold amount of wealth because he's such a gifted actor. And so this subject of wealth inequality comes up, and listen to Morgan Freeman. He hands Don Lemon's hat to him. Let's listen.
So can I go back to, because I thought what you said was fascinating, because you called it bull when you said people can't, pull themselves up. Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't
today?
Or cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that.
I just love that. He says, Don Lemon, you're trying to say that race is what keeps a man down. Look at you and me. You're making millions of dollars working for one of the least trusted names in the media. I'm making millions of dollars as a gifted Hollywood actor. We are proof that wealth inequality is not due to race. So Morgan Freeman's word is, look, pursue your dreams. Work hard, bust your tail, get an education, hit the streets. You too can make it. Don't let this myth of racism keep you down. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's grab a call from Stephen, Mission Valley, Texas. Stephen, welcome. What's on your mind?
Well, it's pretty obvious, Brian, that in the earth, pure love is mocked, and pride emboldened there goes on to openly murder truth. I think love is actually truth when it is done. Love isn't truth. In other words, love and truth are one until they are really done, until it's really the testimony. So what I'm concerned about, Brian, is that we're in the same situation as when Christ came. We're supposed to be making men holy, and there's no harvest until somebody enters the harvest with that purpose of making men holy, pure in heart, just like God in motive. And that's the harvest, and those in it doing that are the harvest. But Jesus said, and this is what I'd like you to speak on, any teaching, all teachings of men that make any deal short of being holy deserve greater damnation.
Okay, restate that for him. I want to be sure I understand what you're saying.
Well, anything or anyone that does anything that's binding holiness now deserves a greater damnation. In other words, we're supposed to bring holiness to birth right now.
Yeah, so you're saying if you're believing or doing something that works against that?
Well, exactly. What men do is they cut out parts of the word, and they don't recognize that it's supposed to be one word alive, pure love from a pure heart issuing and connected to God. In other words, they set up tradition again where men go and make a deal short of being holy.
So they sort of settle. What you're saying is, again, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from here. Stephen, you're saying what men will do is they will settle for something less than the holiness that the Scripture requires.
Yes, pride will make any deal to keep control of a man's own body, and he'll lure with lust, and lust when it's conceived bring forth sin, sin when it's finished brings forth death. What I'm saying is pride is the opposite motive of pure love, and any deal made with tradition short of being pure in heart and being holy, that's one with God in thought and motive, and indeed is and deserves greater damnation, and it's being done in this nation faster than it's ever been.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I agree with you about that, Stephen. Looking at, again, this passage in 1 Corinthians, where Paul really is talking about the arrogance of those that consider themselves to be wiser and smarter than anybody else. And he says, look, what God has done is he has made foolish the wisdom of the world. So you and I, maybe many of us, once believed in the folly of the world. We thought it was wise. We thought that's where wisdom was. We were impressed with the education and the degrees and the sophistication and how urbane these people were. We wanted to be like them. Now that our eyes have been opened to the truth, we realize how naked and empty and bankrupt we were, and those that we idolized, how naked and empty and bankrupt and diseased their souls were, the people that we once envied. So God has made foolish in our eyes the wisdom of the world. We see it. Others have yet to tumble to that, and that's part of our task now, is to be those that continue to speak this truth and ask God to open their eyes so they too can come to an understanding of their own spiritual bankruptcy and embrace the saving gospel of Christ. All right, Stephen, thank you for that. Let's go to Larry in Shreveport, Louisiana. Larry, what's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, I'd like to cover a couple of things that you said.
Yes, sir.
A couple of subjects. First of all, I'd like to say that our president has committed high crimes when he turned to loose combatants, but we're still fighting. If you check the Constitution, all the articles of war and conduct of the U.S. is there, and he can be impeached. And I don't know why he's not. This is when I served in Vietnam. I'm a Marine, and if somebody deserted our squad and left a gap in it, well, let me tell you, you know what they did, and it just was not put up with.
Yeah. Well, and there was a man that was a deserter in Vietnam. I read about him this morning. He deserted in 1965, didn't resurface until 1979, and he was prosecuted for desertion, required to forfeit all of his back pay. And, I got a quote in my stack here about Stonewall Jackson had no patience with deserters because deserters had exposed all of his comrades to potentially mortal danger, and Stonewall Jackson had simply no patience whatsoever for that. All right, well, listen, anything you want to add? Larry, I got about 15 seconds.
One thing, I want to give you something on this guy wanting to grow a beard.
Okay, got 10 seconds.
Okay. If you look at it, when they made the law, the felony law, back in the days when they was trying to stop the black from voting, and so they made the law about that, about you can't vote, you can't carry a gun. This law was made.
Larry, I am completely out of time. If you can hold on, I'll take your thought at the end of the news. Be right back. Stay with us. Focal Point AFR Talk.